Have you ever asked yourself why so many men today feel weak, drained, and powerless despite having endless entertainment, comfort, and distraction at their fingertips? No hunger in your soul, as if your masculine edge has been quietly stolen from you? The answer is simple but brutal. Most men are enslaved by their own hands. They are addicted to their lust, trapped in a cycle of instant release that strips them of energy, focus, and discipline. And the most terrifying part, they don't even realize what it's doing to them mentally, physically, and spiritually. Today I'm going to reveal the truth about masturbation that no one talks about, the hidden cost, the psychological trap, and why once you truly understand it, you'll never look at it the same way again. And more importantly, you'll discover how Stoic philosophy gives you the power to break free and reclaim your strength. Chapter 1. The Hidden Prison of Pleasure. Have you ever noticed how some men walk into a room and instantly command attention, while others blend into the background like they don't even exist? The difference is not always money, looks, or status. Often it's energy, a silent fire that radiates from within. But here's the truth most men will never realize. One of the fastest ways to kill that fire is through the prison of self-indulgence. Take James, a 26-year-old from London. He wasn't a bad-looking guy. In fact, on the surface, he seemed like he had his life together. He had a degree, a decent job in finance, and plans to start a side business. But deep inside, he was stuck. Every night he'd go home, pull out his phone, and drown himself in endless videos. At first, he thought it was harmless, a quick way to relax. But slowly, he noticed something terrifying. His mornings became heavy. The motivation that once fueled him vanished. Even when he saw women in real life, whether it was Sarah serving coffee at the cafe in Piccadilly, or Olivia from the gym in Kensington, he felt nothing. Not the spark, not the drive to approach, not the masculine hunger that once pushed him to chase. His eyes dulled. His presence weakened. What James didn't understand was this. Every release was tricking his brain into believing he had already won the game of life. From a biological standpoint, his mind thought he had achieved his ultimate purpose, reproduction. So why would he fight? Why would he struggle? Why would he pursue real women, real success, or real victories when his brain already felt like a champion? And this is where most men are trapped today. They live in this hidden prison of pleasure thinking they are free because they can do what they want, when in reality they are chained to their own impulses. Their desire doesn't serve them, it controls them. The Stoics knew this danger long before the internet existed. Epictetus warned, "No man is free who is not master of himself." You can live in London, New York, or Sydney, surrounded by opportunity, but if you cannot control your urges, you are no different from a prisoner in chains. And women notice this. Women like Emily in Manchester or Sarah in Toronto can feel when a man is drained, weak, and lifeless. They might not consciously know why, but something about him feels off. He lacks presence. His energy is flat. On the other hand, when a man has discipline, when he's not constantly leaking his strength, women sense it immediately. They may not say it aloud, but it shows in the way they respond to him. This is the hidden prison of pleasure. Most men are inmates, but very few even realize they're locked inside. They think they're choosing it, but in reality, choice has been stolen from them. The question is, will you stay behind the bars or will you break free? Chapter 2. What masturbation steals from you. The average man in New York, Los Angeles, or London will laugh if you tell him that masturbation is costing him his masculinity. He'll say, it's just a normal thing. Everyone does it, but the truth is darker. This habit doesn't just waste your time, it steals from you in ways you cannot see until it's too late. First, it steals your drive. When Daniel from Toronto wakes up, his biology should push him to conquer challenges, to chase women, to build wealth, to create legacy. That's how men are wired. But when he spends his nights glued to his screen releasing his energy, his body believes the mission is already complete. His brain literally signals you've already won. Why should Daniel push himself in business? Why should he risk rejection by talking to Olivia at the gym? Why should he go through the grind when his body thinks he already achieved reproduction? This is why men lose hunger. They don't realize their own biology has been hijacked. Second, it weakens your confidence with women. Picture Michael from Sydney. He sees Sarah walking across the street, her hair catching the sunlight. He feels attraction, but he does nothing. Why? Because deep down he doesn't need to. His brain has been conditioned to avoid risk, to avoid rejection, because satisfaction is waiting in his pocket later that night. Over time, this turns a man from bold to passive, from confident to hesitant. Women sense this. They don't feel his masculine edge. And the truth is brutal. If you can't conquer your own urges, how can you ever expect to conquer her heart? Third, it drains your masculine energy. Ancient men knew this instinctively. Fighters, warriors, and leaders all spoke about the importance of preserving their seed. They believed it gave them strength, focus, and dominance. Today, modern research backs this up. Abstinence increases testosterone for a period, sharpens focus, and fuels motivation. That's why men who quit habit often describe feeling unstoppable. Their eyes brighten, their voice deepens, their handshake becomes firm. Women notice difference too. Olivia from Los Angeles may not understand science, but she will feel the magnetism. Fourth, it robs you of your spiritual clarity. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily that the true battlefield is the mind. When you are a slave to your urges, you cannot think clearly. Your discipline is fractured. Your ability to control your emotions weakens. Instead of being a man who rules himself, you become a man ruled by desire, and this makes you fragile. Women like Emily in New York do not trust fragile men. They trust men with composure, self-control, and presence. So what does masturbation really steal from you? It takes your drive, your confidence, your energy, and your clarity. It makes you less of a man in every dimension that matters. And once you see this truth, you can't unsee it. You realize that every moment you indulge, you are trading away power. Power that could have been used to build your body, your business, your relationships. Power that could have made women look at you differently. Not as another ordinary man, but as someone rare. And that's the point. Women don't remember the ordinary. They remember the rare. They remember the man who is in control of himself. The man who doesn't need them. The man who radiates power instead of begging for attention. That man doesn't just attract women, he earns their respect. Chapter 3. The Psychology of Addiction. Have you ever wondered why it feels almost impossible to stop? Even when you swear to yourself, this is the last time. Why do so many men in New York, London, or Sydney wake up the next morning filled with regret, yet repeat the same pattern again that very night? The answer lies not in weakness of will, but in the very wiring of the human brain. Dopamine is the key. Dopamine is not just about pleasure, it is about pursuit. It's the spark that makes you want something, the chemical that drives you to chase. But here's the catch. Your brain doesn't distinguish between real rewards earned through effort and artificial ones gained in seconds. So when Daniel in Manchester scrolls through explicit videos, his brain reacts as if he is living in abundance. Beautiful women every night. Endless novelty, no rejection, no effort. To the brain, it's paradise. To reality, it's poison. Over time, the brain adapts. Dopamine receptors become less sensitive. What once excited you now feels dull. That's why Michael in Los Angeles feels empty when he tries to enjoy normal life. Going to the gym feels boring. Working on his business feels pointless. Even talking to Sarah at the cafe feels lifeless. Nothing in reality can compete with the artificial flood of stimulation he's trained his brain to expect. And here lies the tragedy. Men think they're lazy, unmotivated, or broken. But the truth is, their brains have been hijacked. They're not naturally weak, they've been rewired to crave easy reward instead of real achievement. The more you indulge, the deeper the trap becomes. The brain creates stronger pathways for instant gratification and weaker ones for discipline. That's why James in London couldn't feel attraction for real women anymore. His brain was saturated with illusions, so when Emily smiled at him on the subway, it barely registered. She was real, but his brain was too fried to care. And this has massive consequences with women. Attraction is about energy, presence, and pursuit. When a man is addicted, his energy is flat, his presence is weak, and his pursuit is gone. Women like Olivia in Toronto sense it immediately. They may not know why, but something feels off. They see a man who doesn't carry fire. They see a man who lacks edge. Now think of this. The Stoics lived centuries before the internet, yet they understood the danger of indulgence. Seneca wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." Addiction is exactly this, a waste of life. Hours vanish, days blur, years disappear. And the worst part? You don't just lose time, you lose yourself. The psychology of addiction is not just about chemicals, it's about identity. Every time Daniel tells himself just one more time, he's reinforcing the identity of a weak man. Every relapse whispers to his subconscious, you are not in control. Your impulses are stronger than you. And the more he believes it, the truer it becomes. But here's the good news. The brain is plastic. It can rewire. Just as it adapts to addiction, it can adapt to freedom. When you resist, when you replace artificial rewards with real ones, dopamine pathways shift. At first it feels hard, like walking uphill in the rain. But over time, the climb becomes easier. The fog lifts. The fire returns. The question is, how many men will realize this before it's too late? How many will wake up at 30, 40, or 50, realizing that years of energy, focus, and opportunity were stolen by a screen? Addiction is not just about pleasure. It's about theft. It steals your ambition, your attraction, your masculinity, and unless you break it, it will steal your future too. Chapter 4. The Stoic Way of Freedom. Now let's flip the script. Imagine Daniel in Toronto standing at a crossroads. On one path, he continues indulging, numb, drained, always chasing but never satisfied. On the other path, he chooses discipline, control, and freedom. The question is, what makes the difference? This is where Stoicism becomes your weapon. Unlike modern self-help advice that tells you to just stay busy or think positive, Stoicism cuts to the core, mastery of desire. Epictetus taught his students a principle that still applies today. Separate what is within your control from what is not. Your body will feel urges that is not in your control. What you do with those urges, that is fully yours. And here's the beauty. Every time you resist, you prove to yourself that you are stronger than your impulses. That's the true definition of freedom. Not doing whatever you feel like, but being able to say no when your body begs for yes. This is why the Stoics were respected. They lived by discipline, not by impulse. Marcus Aurelius, emperor of Rome, surrounded by wealth and temptation, wrote in his Meditations, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." His words apply perfectly today. You may not be emperor, but you rule an empire far more important, yourself. And here's the surprising truth. Women notice this. Women like Sarah in Sydney, Emily in London, or Olivia in New York can sense when a man is in control of himself. His presence is different. His eyes are steady. His energy is sharp. He doesn't fidget, doesn't beg, doesn't need. He chooses. And that makes him magnetic. Think about it. Which man do you think Sarah is drawn to? The one who hides in his room, drained by addiction? Or the one who radiates discipline, whose very presence says, I am in command of myself? Women are not attracted to slaves of pleasure. They are attracted to masters of it. And this is why Stoicism is not just philosophy, it's practical power. Each time you resist an urge, you train your willpower like a muscle. At first it shakes, but over time it becomes unbreakable. And that strength doesn't just affect your private habits, it bleeds into everything. Business, fitness, relationships, leadership. A man who can control himself can control his destiny. This is the Stoic way of freedom, not the shallow freedom of indulging every desire, but the deep freedom of ruling over them. And once you taste it, you'll never want to go back. Because the man who is in control of himself is the man every woman respects, every man envies, and every challenge bows to. Chapter 5. Replacing weakness with power. Here's the truth. You can't simply rip out a habit and expect to feel whole. If you stop indulging but do nothing else, you will feel restless, empty, and eventually fall right back into the same trap. The Stoics understood this centuries ago. They knew that when you strip away vice, you must replace it with virtue. If you don't, the void will swallow you. Take Michael from Los Angeles. He tried quitting multiple times. For a week he felt strong. But then came the nights of boredom, the restless energy, the voice in his head whispering, just once more, and every time he slipped back. Why? Because he hadn't replaced weakness with power. He removed something but put nothing in its place. The first step is physical training. Your body must sweat. Your muscles must ache. This isn't just about looking good, it's about building dominance over yourself. Every time James in London drags himself to the gym at 6 a.m., even when he doesn't feel like it, he's proving to his brain that discipline rules, not impulse. And here's what's fascinating. Women notice. Olivia at the same gym doesn't just see a man lifting weights. She sees consistency, strength, and commitment. She sees a man in control. That energy is magnetic. The second step is creative work. Energy must flow somewhere. If you don't direct it, it will direct you. When Daniel in Manchester quit his destructive habit, he poured his focus into music production. At first it felt strange, his hands longed for old routines. But within weeks, the same restless drive that once fueled his addiction now fueled his creativity. He started uploading tracks online. To his surprise, people responded. Women like Sarah from Toronto started noticing his passion. Why? Because creation is attractive. Men who build are men who shine. The third step is purposeful struggle. The Stoics believed hardship wasn't a curse, but a forge. Marcus Aurelius embraced discomfort as a teacher. Modern men run from it. But here's the truth. Discipline grows in fire, not in comfort. Cold showers, fasting, long hours of focused work. These practices may sound extreme, but they train you to embrace pain instead of escaping it. Imagine Michael in Sydney forcing himself into an ice-cold shower at dawn. Every fiber of his body screams to quit, but he doesn't. He stands tall. That's not just a shower, it's a battle won. And battles like that prepare him for bigger wars. Now here's the psychological twist. Women are wired to feel attraction to men who endure struggle. Olivia in New York might not consciously know why, but when she meets a man who radiates calm under pressure, her instincts scream, "This man can handle life. This man can handle me." That calm doesn't come from indulging every desire. It comes from mastering them. So remember this, quitting alone is not enough. If you simply stop, you'll relapse. But if you replace weakness with power, training, creating, struggling, you transform. You become the man who doesn't need cheap pleasure because he has richer rewards. You become rare in a world full of men enslaved to their impulses. And here's the secret. Women do not desire men who are the same as every other man. They are drawn to men who stand apart, men who rise above, men who glow with discipline and strength. That man doesn't chase women, they chase him. Chapter 6, The Transformation. Now imagine this. 6 months later, James from London walks into a cafe. The same James who once wasted nights in his bedroom, foggy and drained. But now his energy is different. His shoulders are broad from training. His eyes are sharp, locked on the world around him. His presence is undeniable. Sarah behind the counter feels it immediately. She smiles at him, not because of his looks alone, but because of his energy. He carries himself like a man who knows who he is. This is the transformation. It's not about becoming perfect, it's about becoming powerful. When you quit self-enslavement and replace it with discipline, your entire life changes. Look at Daniel in Manchester. Before, he couldn't focus on his studies. His nights blurred together in cycles of regret. But after committing to the Stoic path, he built a small online business. He stopped running from struggle and started embracing it. Women who once ignored him began noticing his ambition. He wasn't chasing validation anymore, he was building legacy. That shift is magnetic. Or consider Michael in Sydney. 6 months after breaking free, he entered a boxing competition. He didn't win, but the training, the discipline, the fire, it changed him. Olivia, who once brushed him off as just another average man, now saw him differently. Not because he became famous, but because he became formidable. Women don't need you to be perfect. They need to feel your strength, your edge, your fire. Here's the deeper truth. Transformation is not just physical or social, it's spiritual. The Stoics called it alignment with nature, living according to reason, not impulse. Marcus Aurelius wrote daily to remind himself of this. And when you break free from addiction, you feel it. The fog clears. Your purpose sharpens. You wake up with hunger in your chest instead of emptiness in your stomach. And women? They feel it too. Emily in New York may not know the details of your journey, but when she meets you, she feels something rare. She feels presence. She feels control. She feels mystery. And mystery is powerful, because when a man cannot be easily read, he cannot be easily forgotten. The transformation is not just about attraction, it's about destiny. Men who waste their strength chasing instant pleasure end up forgotten. Men who master themselves leave marks on the world. They become leaders, builders, warriors, fathers. They don't live for release, they live for legacy. So ask yourself, 6 months from now, who do you want to be? The man who hides in shadows, enslaved by his own hands? Or the man who stands tall, whose very presence commands respect, whose discipline makes women lean closer, whose fire makes the world take notice? That choice is yours. And once you taste the transformation, once you feel the power of a clear mind and a strong body, you'll never go back. Conclusion. So here's the truth no one tells you. Masturbation is not just a private habit. It's a silent killer of masculinity, ambition, and spiritual strength. Every time you give in, you hand over a piece of your soul. But the moment you take control, the moment you say, "I am stronger than my urges," you step into the arena of real men. You feel the fire return. You feel life sharpen around you. You begin to attract respect, opportunities, and women, not because you chase them, but because your energy pulls them in. This is what the Stoics meant when they spoke of freedom. Not freedom to indulge in every desire, but freedom from being ruled by them. And once you see this clearly, you'll never go back. You'll never look at this habit the same way again, because you'll understand it was never just about pleasure. It was about power. Oh, with that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.